Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, September 16th. Very nice weather pattern continues here in the Mid-Atlantic region. We've had comfortably warm afternoons and pleasantly cool nights. High pressure continues to control the weather over the northeastern third of the nation and will continue to do so right through Saturday. By Sunday, a weak frontal system could spark an isolated shower, perhaps a thunderstorm in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region as cooler air returns. Looks like it'll turn a little bit cooler again on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but another high-pressure system will take over, and basically very nice weather pattern here will continue well into next week in the Mid-Atlantic region. I thought we'd start off by taking a look at the latest tropical situation. We've just now passed the climatological peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, but there are plenty of signs that suggest activity could still have an impact on the U.S. mainland over the next several weeks. Here is a map that shows the actual climatological peak being right around September 10th. The oranges here representing hurricanes and tropical storms, the yellows just hurricanes. Notice there is typically a secondary peak in about the middle part of October. And the fact of the matter is sea surface temperatures continue to run at above normal levels just off the east coast as well as throughout the Gulf of Mexico. All of this suggests that there certainly still is time left in this season for some tropical activity to have an impact on the U.S. mainland. In fact, there are a couple of interesting waves right now, and we'll take a look at those in the next couple of minutes. Well, here's the very latest sea surface temperature anomaly map right around the east coast of the U.S. and throughout the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. All of these oranges and yellows on this map indicate above normal temperatures. Notice the legend down here. Anything yellow, orange, or even red above normal. And notice throughout the Gulf of Mexico, except for the very tip across the northern Gulf of Mexico, it's above normal. And for much of the east coast throughout the Caribbean, it's also in the yellow range, slightly above normal. Some oranges are showing up here. This is the track that these African waves normally take right across the tropical Atlantic towards the southeast coast of the U.S. So the overall sea surface temperature pattern still favors some potential for development, and in fact a couple of waves right now in the tropical Atlantic bear some watching. Well, here's a map put out by the University of Wisconsin, and it shows a couple of things. First of all, we see the couple of waves in the tropical Atlantic. This is an IR satellite image. A couple of impressive looking waves, as a matter of fact. Here's number one, and here's the second one right on its heels. Notice here right along the African west coast is a potential third wave that we'll have to monitor over the next several days, and beyond that, yet another one out in this region right here. But quite impressive tropical waves. Now, the other thing that this particular map from the University of Wisconsin CIMSS website shows, in orange and yellow, you see the Saharan air mass, and typically that pushes off the Saharan part of Africa, moves from the east to the west, and represents dry air. In other words, it's an inhibiting factor for tropical storm formation in the tropical part of the Atlantic. Notice most of it is close to the African coast, and the bottom line is these couple of waves here do not have to encounter much in the way of Saharan air. There's a little bit right in this region right here, but we've seen much worse conditions for tropical storm formation earlier in the summer. So a couple of waves headed for areas with above normal sea surface temperatures, and they should not encounter much dry air, as has been the case much of this summer so far. So we'll certainly monitor the tropical situation over the next several days. Well, getting back to the continental U.S., here's the U.S. surface map, and basically we're stuck in a rut, but it's a nice rut to be stuck in here. High pressure just stationary basically over the northeastern part of the country, dominating the weather scene throughout New England and the Mid-Atlantic region and the Ohio Valley, with pleasant afternoons, pleasantly warm conditions during the afternoon, nothing excessive in terms of heat, and pleasantly cool overnight temperatures as well. Again, this will stay in control right into Saturday. By Sunday, this frontal system will move into the northeastern part of the U.S., but it's a weak front. At best, it'll spark a shower or a thunderstorm on an isolated basis, and then another large high-pressure system will follow on its heels, continuing our overall nice weather pattern well into next week. Well, finally, let's wrap up with a couple of GFS model forecasts. This is using last night's 0Z GFS model run, and we're jumping way ahead to Saturday night here, and then we'll look at Sunday night. Up until Saturday, that same high-pressure system remains in control, but here's the situation predicted for Saturday night. A little bit of a low-pressure area in southeastern Canada, and that weak frontal system that is currently way out over this part of the country will slide into the Ohio Valley, but certainly not much in the way of rainfall ahead of it. Again, Saturday looks like a nice day, and then perhaps a shower or thunderstorm only on an isolated basis in the I-95 corridor on Sunday before some cooler air moves in. Let's jump ahead 24 hours to Sunday evening's forecast map. And here we go. By Sunday evening, that next front moves off the east coast. Another high pressure system takes over. Again, it'll turn a little bit cooler for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday compared to Friday and Saturday. But basically, a nice weather pattern continues not only for the rest of this work week, but it looks like right into at least the middle part of next week. The only real chance for rain will be on a scattered basis at best, it looks like, on Sunday as a weak frontal system comes through the Mid-Atlantic region. So we'll continue to monitor the situation here in the Mid-Atlantic, but also across the tropics. A couple of waves have some potential over the next several days, even though we have just passed the climatological peak. Warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic basin will continue the threat along the U.S. mainland for some tropical activity as we progress through the end of the summer and into the fall season. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.